Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Gordon Chesapeake here. So in this video I'm going to talk about Expo Prebuild and how you can create the iOS and Android native folders in your Expo project. So far I've been trying to stick with the EAS Expo Application Services builds and let it take care of everything for us, because in the videos that I've had so far we could have added plugins in the app.json file, and if we were using something that really needed some probably native code. For example, the most recent one was React Native Firebase, and we use plugins for that, so that was easy to manage without having to go into the iOS and Android folders and make changes there. But if you're building a real big scale application, you're going to need to make some changes in those folders and do some native coding if needed. So for that we are going to use this Expo Prebuild that is offered by the Expo team. Now this is going to, as I mentioned, generate this is going to create the Android and iOS directories for running your React code. So I am on a macOS device. If I do npx expo prebuild, which I will show you soon, it's going to build my iOS and Android apps. But if you don't have a macOS, you probably can only do the Android part, which is again using some platform specific details that you provide here. For example, you'll have prebuild -- platform Android. It will generate the Android folder for you. But again, if you're really thinking about doing a large scale application, you probably want to be on a Mac OS and then do this prebuild for both iOS and Android. So to showcase how this works, we're going to look at this React Native change icon library, where it gives us the ability to dynamically change the icon for the app, so the user actually can pick using a selection of icons that we provide to them what the actual app icon on their home screen should look like. So just a quick intro to this video. Hopefully this will be something that you can take advantage of in your development journey later on, and I'll have more videos on this later as well. Please make sure to hit the like button below the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, a few quick things before we get into the actual meat of this video. So the starting code that you will see here is from my React Native Firebase tutorial that I had. So I'll put a link to the GitHub Repo in the description box below the video. I will also have a link to the final code that we're going to have at the end of this video in the description box below the video. So I just wanted to let you know that's what's happening. And also we are using Expo development builds for this. So I have Expo Dev Client, and I've explained these in my videos, the previous videos. Go check those out, and I put links to those as well in the description box, and up top here you'll see them appearing throughout this video. So just so you know, that's what we have. That's the structure of the code so far. I'm using app router, app folder with React with Expo router, and also Tailwind CSS and TypeScript. So already there are videos in my channel that you can take a look at to get up to speed with those. The first thing we're going to do is to actually install this React Native change icon library. So as I mentioned, that's the example that we will be using for explaining the Expo Prebuild and all that. So with the npx expo install React Native change icon command, you can install that. I've already done that, and I have that in my package.json. So that's all I've done so far. And the next step that we're going to do is to go back to the documentation here and follow the instructions. So we already did the installation, how to use part. We need to have whatever icon that you want. They're going with regular, light, and dark here, and I'm going to follow the same thing, but you don't have to. You can have whatever icon that you want. So I have those already in the folder that I have here. So I have this icon dark, icon light, and an icon regular, and I will share this video as well in the description box below the video. So if you want to follow the video exactly as I'm doing, you can do that as well. Once we do that, we can go to this website, app icon generator, and then feed each of those PNG JPEG files to this. And for each of them, you only need iPhone and Android. Well, because of the purpose of this video, I'm just focusing on iPhone and Android for now. So you'll feed it to this generator, and it will generate 11 different files for iPhone and 4 files for Android. Once you do that, what you will do for the Android, you create an Android, and you will see these 5 folders in the zip files that you will download for each of the icons. And then in there, for each of these folders, you will go ahead and bring all those icons from the corresponding folder that you got from the zip file, download a zip file into this folder, follow naming convention that you like. Again, follow following the way that they have done things in the readme of the repo over here. I'm doing dark, light, and just normal for each of these, so you'll see the same file names for each of these different folders that I have for my Android. For iOS also, it will generate a folder for you in the zip file that you download, and it will have these files in each of those for each of the images. So you can basically copy and paste them into like your iOS folder. I'm using the naming convention again that they have: dark, default, and light, corresponding to the original images that I had, and inside each of these I will have the corresponding files that were downloaded. One thing to note, as I mentioned in the documentation, is that you need to adjust or update the content.json file. Originally it will be, as I mentioned here, probably right here for iOS, it's going to be assets.xcassets/appicon.appicon set. You will need to change that to images.xcassets, and then for each of these different icon sets that you have, you'll set the dark, light, or regular as needed. So let me go back here. This was for my dark.appicon set. For default, my content.json will have the default.appicon set with the images also over here. And then lastly, for my light, I'll have the images.xcassets and light.appicon set. So that's the update that you need to make to those content.json files. Once you have those, we have already done this step, the generate icon, and prepare the icon file. So I have my Android folder ready to go, and I have my iOS folder ready to go as well, with the way that they have set it up here. And again, this is just the way they have it, with the dark, light, and default images. You can have whatever, like ICE launcher, image 1, image 2, image 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And then do the same with the folder naming here, kind of like similar to what I have here as well. So with that, let's go to the next step. 4 is import the icons. Now here is what we need, why we need the Expo Prebuild. We need to drag all of these folders into the map folders that we had over here to our Android /app source main res folder. So we don't have the Android folder currently here, and there are ways that you could probably do this without needing to create that using Expo plugins and modules. But again, the rest of the steps, somewhere, for example, for iOS, we need to make some changes into the in the Xcode. We need to update something, so that really is very hard to do without actually having the iOS folder and download and making the changes that they want here in the Xcode. You will have to write some Expo Prebuild code, which is kind of difficult, and I definitely didn't want to do that. So again, if you feel comfortable doing that, maybe you could use Expo plugins for this. If not, and in most cases it's just easier, especially if you have a Mac OS and you are developing for iOS, you can just go through this process of pre-build and then add these different folders to your folder structure, and then make the changes in the specific Android and iOS files. But again, if you're building only for Android also, then you don't even need Mac OS. So I would just go with the npx expo prebuild -- platform Android here and do the pre-built for that to create the Android folder. One thing to note is that we are going to still use EAS for generating our development builds and also for production build and all that, because it's much easier than you wanting to do this whole thing, especially for production, like pushing things to Android, Google Store, and also Apple App Store. For the development, you could potentially do the npx expo run Android and run iOS, but it depends on your preference. I would still build my development builds also with EAS as well. They do have a limit of 30 builds per month and like 15 for iOS, but I haven't really hit that limit so far. So you do have the option of building on your own device as well locally using these commands. And then one thing I wanted to mention is that we do want to use the pre-build iOS and Android folders when we do the EAS build, and so we are not going to add these folders to our .getignore or EAS ignore files, because the changes that we are going to make in these Android and iOS folders, we want them to be included in the package. If we just ignore these, then it's like we didn't really need to add these in the project. So with that, just what I'm going to do right now is to do npx expo prebuild. So I'm just going to copy it and then over here in my terminal, I'm going to do that. Again, I'm on Mac device, and so iOS and Android are both going to work. On a Windows device, you would probably can only do the platform Android, so keep that in mind. Might be other ways you can also install something on your Windows and make the iOS also work, which I don't think is really possible because how Apple does things. But anyways, at this point, I'm just going to do the pre-build for both iOS and Android. Well, with the first trial of npx expo prebuild, I got an error. That was because I have my, like I said, this is a repo that I have done before with the React Native Firebase. So I have these Google services files basically in git ignore, and I have added them to the secrets in the Expo application services website. So for this to work, I added a .env file, and actually the reference that I'm making to these two are defined in the app.config.ts file. I've explained this before, and that's not the topic of this video, but in case you have environment variables or secrets that you have pushed to EAS, you would probably need to add them in the in a .env file. Don't forget to add the .env and git ignore as well. And then once you do that, you should be able to do the npx expo prebuild. So for that, you can just like hit enter over here, and I'm getting this warning here that's using the current versions instead of recommended React Native 0.74.2. So if I go to my package.json file, you'll see that my React Native version is 74.1, so they want me to probably upgrade to 0.2. So I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to stop this process here. I'm going to delete the Android folder that was already generated on iOS, and what I'm going to do, you will notice that they also made a change automatically. This Android and iOS script was updated to Expo run Android and iOS. If I revert this, which was Expo start for each platform, I can save this, and I can't just go and change the React Native version to 74.2 because I have Expo and there are these these versions are interconnected, and so I need to use another command which takes care of all these dependency, consistency, and tells me what versions of these libraries are available. So that is going to be npx expo install -- check. So if I do this, it's going to give me, hey, these are the compatibility issues that you might have if you like upgrade one of these. So with the 74.2 for React Native, I also will need to upgrade to the 50.017. So it's going to make all these changes for me automatically. So I'm going to say yes, fix the dependencies for me, and then it will go ahead and make all those updates to my package.json and install the new libraries. So I've had this problem before. I can actually do sudo with this, so you might not see this problem, some kind of access problem. So I'm doing sudo here, and then I need to give my password, and then again here I say yes to this, and then it's going to install the packages for me this time. The versions should be also all updated over here once the installation is done, and you can see that's happening, and we should be good. If I do another npx install check, you'll see that everything is up to date, and now I can go back and do npx expo prebuild. And remember, I deleted the iOS and Android folders that were generated, and I reverted this back to what they were, so that we can do a clean rebuild. Or for this one, since this is our new our first prebuild, you can actually use the -- clean even if you had the iOS and Android folders here, and that's explained here. With the clean addition to your command, you can delete any existing native directory before generating, but we don't want to do this in the future pre-builds. Once you do the first one and make changes to Android and iOS folders, then you definitely don't want to do this. And it's going to ask you your git working is dirty, whatever, that's fine. Yes, I'm good here. I am using different branches, so it's always good practice to use branches when you're making this major changes to your application. So my npx expo prebuild, it worked fine for the Android folder, and everything was fine for iOS. I had some problems with the stepper. It does pod install. I'm on Mac with M1 chip, so there are some issues with that, and there are a lot of posts on GitHub and here and there about how you can fix that. Basically, I just looked at some of those, and then I am not even sure which one worked, to be honest, but I tried most of them. And then the one thing that I realized were pod install. So when you do npx expo prebuild, and it goes ahead and installs creates these Android and iOS folder, once it gives you the pod install error, you can actually keep whatever you have and then cd into the iOS folder. And when you do that here, you can do some, my problem mostly was some access issues, so I had to do some sudo like chmod. I'll show you now. Yeah, it's chmod. So the sudo chmod, some like kind of permission problems that I had in the folder. So I did that, and then after that I did pod install with repo update. So that was pod install with --repo-update. So that worked for me. It kind of messed up a little bit of my Git stuff over here, but I did have another branch, so I just pushed that branch, everything, and it seems like everything is working fine. So what I would do, I'll go back outside the iOS folder right now. With the pod install done, I should see the pod file.log here. And with the command that you ran, you hopefully didn't see any errors. Otherwise, I put some links in the description box below the video. Just Googling stuff also works. But anyway, so we are done with that step. The next step, I'm going to do iOS first. So we have the icon files ready right now, and so the next step is to drag all the files that we had under iOS, our app name, images.xc assets. So I have my iOS, and then my app name is Orange Journey, and I actually already dragged those 3 folders, dark, default, and light folders that I had with everything in them under the images.xc assets. And remember, we changed the content.json over here to images.xc assets. That was why we did this, because right now that's the folder that we have. And we did that for all these 3. The next thing we need to do for iOS is updating our info.plist file. So I'm going to go to my iOS folder, and then right there inside I believe my project, I should have my project name, I should have info.plist file, and you can scroll all the way down, and right before this closing dict over here, you can add what I have here, and I'll explain what it is. It basically is a copy of what they have in their example info.plist file. So I go here, and then everything here, starting from this key CF bundle icons, we are basically assigning our dark and light to our alternative icons with the app icon dark and all the required things that we need to app icon light over here. And then for the default one, we have this primary icon which is going to look for the icon in the default app icon. So that's the first thing we need to add. So basically I just copied everything from here all the way to down here, and then pasted right below what I had here in info.plist file. So I'm going to save that, and then there's one more step, and again this is iOS stuff, so you need to be on Mac, and for this you actually do need to open Xcode. So open Xcode, and then once it's open, you can open existing project, and then when you do that, you can go to the iOS directory of your project, and then click on the Xcode project file, open it. It's going to open the project in React in Xcode. Under this general tab, while you select the project over here, go to general, scroll down over here under app icons, you will see app icon. This is what I have already changed. So what you will see is this app icon and this unchecked. So you will change this to default. So that's the default app icon, and you will check this to include all app icon assets. That's it. It automatically will save it for you. You can close out of Xcode. The next thing we need to do is to do our build. So you have 2 ways. Since we have the pre-build and we have our iOS and Android folders ready, we could technically build locally. You can still build in using EAS. So I believe that's EAS build -- profile development -- platform for well, it will be iOS, and that's what's coming from again our EAS.json file that we have for profile development for internal. We can use that. Actually, you could do like development simulator for iOS. So for Android it's development, for iOS it should be development simulator, and then -- platform iOS. That's one way, and this is going to build it in EAS on expo.dev website. One thing to note is that, for example, in this project I have my Google service info.plist file over here, which needs to be included in the iOS directory because it's not when you do this in EAS, you'll see that it's going to skip the pre-build. So one thing I forgot, and this is a failed build, you can see, is that this is going to use the Android and iOS directory that you have here, and it's going to skip that pre-build step on EAS. So it was looking into my app.json file, and for the Google services, for example, for Android. If I can find it over here, you can see that we have an empty string, and this was because we have added that as a file to the EAS secrets, but since we have the built Android and iOS folders here, that's not going to work. So I needed to add this slash Google service over here. So if you're doing EAS build and basically Expo application services, you need to fix these secret things that you have. Or else, like I said, you can do the EAS build on your machine locally. So for this, I am going to let me just type it clear. So it's going to be what we actually saw here in the EAS Expo documentation. It's going to be npx expo run iOS. This is for iOS. Now I have already ran that, and it will go through a lot of steps, maybe a few minutes, and then you need to have an Android emulator, iOS simulator, or your actual physical iOS device connected to your laptop so that it can build it on a device. Without that, it's not gonna work. You need to actually have that connected, and then once it was done, it actually installed it. You can see it here. This is the default icon that I had, and exactly from this default folder. So this was the default icon, maybe a bigger one here. Yeah, that will be the first icon that will be shown on the screen for you. Now we are using development builds, obviously, so what I need to do to start my application here, my server, is npx expo start --dev -client. So I'll do that. It's going to start, and then when you do the npx expo build expo run iOS, it will also start the server right after it installs the app on your either physical device or the simulator over here. But I had to stop that server, so here I'm going to hit I key. It's going to open my application over here. Now it's up to you how you want to change the icon. You can have a list wherever people can choose icons, and the next time they see the app, that icon is going to change. But the code is actually very simple. If you scroll down under documentation, all you need is actually just import this change icon, for example, from React Native change icon, and call the change icon and use the name that you use. So we had light, dark, and default, all with the first letter capitalized. So I have this profile page over here where we built it previously for theming our app, dark theme, light theme, and this might not be like the best use case for 3 icons. Probably 2 would be the best, but I'm just gonna show it because we have this already in place. So under the protected wraps, I have tabs and the profile. This is Expo router, as I mentioned earlier. So over here I can import the change icon, because that's what all I need to change the icon. And then when I change these the theme, I also select the icon that I want based on the theme value. So if it's dark, I select the dark icon. If it's light, I select the light icon. And if it's system, I'll keep it as default. Now keep in mind that with system here, we actually, when we open the application, it will take the theme of the system. If it's dark, it will be dark. If not, it will be light. But the app icon is not going to change as the theme of the device changes while the app is closed. So that's something maybe you will need, like a background procedure, like running in the background when your app is closed or something like that. But right now the purpose is just to show you, hey, this is how you can choose the app icon. So for example, if I save this right now, I'm going to reload the application, and what you see here right now, I have the default. And then let's go here. I haven't changed it, so I know it's set as light, but if I click another time on this slide, it's going to tell me that you have changed the icon for Orange Journey. This is something automatically shown. I don't think there's a way around it, so we're just going to say okay here. And if I go out, now this is our light theme icon. So if I go to light, this was the light, and then our default was the one that we had before, and then the dark is this exfit over here. So if I go back in, change to dark, says it's changed, and then we go back out and this has changed. As you can see, system should be default, it's going to change to that, and then there we go, default. So let's say I want to go back to light, I close the app completely, and it's going to be in the light as we had it. If I open it the next time, then I can go ahead and change this. So obviously right now these are the selections that I have based on for the theming of the app, not necessarily the icon name. So as you can see, like if I this might not match as I open the app with the icon, but then they have this get icon as well. You can do a for example, use effect hook or something to get the icon when you load the app, and then set this based on that. So like for example, if you had a list of icons here, you will make the selection based on the icon and that is displayed currently on the home screen. So again, if I close it in the dark mode, it's going to keep that icon for me. So that's mostly for the iOS. Again, the tricky part here was for me actually doing the pod install on the iOS with the pre-build. And then other than that, just keep in mind that with your secrets, you might have to make sure that they are already included somehow in your iOS folders. And you'll see that in here in my orange journey, I do have the Google services. The plist file, this is there for the build, but as you can see, it's not going to be it's going to be ignored and not going to be pushed to Git. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, that was the iOS part. Now for the Android part, a similar process. I'm going to stop this. All right, let's quickly look at Android now. For Android, we have also a couple of things that we need to do. First thing, inside our Android project, under the app folder, source, main, and then res, you probably already will see a few mipmap files over here. What you would need to do is to replace the contents of these mipmap, HDPI, and so on with what we already downloaded for our app icons. So I've already done that. If you remember, we had dark, light, and just like the IC launcher PNG files for each of them, and that's what you will see here. And there's also this one folder that's been generated, any DPI, when we did the MPX pre-build. So we do need to get rid of that one. So I'm going to delete that. And then once that's done, the next step is to make some changes to our android.manifest.xml file, which is under Android app source main folder. So again, we're following the steps from this documentation here. Now I already copied the icons over here under the Android directory, and then we need to make some changes to Android manifest.xml file. So if you open that, you'll see that we need to make some changes here as mentioned in the documentation. They have an example manifest.xml file here. So I basically copied most of that, and so just so you know what has changed, I'm going to show you. We have this application over here. Just the props on this application is kind of we have some changes there. And then the next thing is that after this activity that we currently had, we keep the main activity, and then we will add these activity aliases here the way that they have shown over here. So I just copied all these three aliases, which are corresponding to the light, default, and the dark images or icons that we had. So I've just copied and pasted them over here, and then I can save it now. We should be ready to start to run our build. Before that, I've already done it a couple of times. So one error that I was getting, but what's related to this one, saying SDK location not found when I did npx expo run Android. To fix that, I'll put a link to this Stack Overflow post. What you need to do is to create a local.properties file right inside your Android folder. So here, local.properties, and in there it shows you that, for example, for Mac users, you do like users, username, library, Android SDK, and that's what I have added in this local.properties. This should be already get ignored. If not, you should get ignore this. It's just something that you don't want to push when you're doing your EAS build in the basically Expo application services when you are, for example, doing build for production. If you wanted to do the development also using that, but I can do the development build over here. So I'm going to do npx expo run Android, and then while I'm having my emulator open, or you can also connect your own Android device to your laptop. This is going to take much faster than it would for you guys the first time you do it, since I've already done it. Most of the process has been cached, and so once that's done, it's going to open the application on my emulator over here, and you see that it's just building the application right now. Once the application is built, I want to show you something right now. If you look at your emulator, you'll see two apps generated, and there is an issue on the website as well. I'll put a link to this issue on their GitHub repo. I mean that people are also getting like duplicate icons here. I'm not sure what's happening, but if you guys, someone knows, please comment in the comment box below the video. But I have this now, and then I can actually run the application on this emulator. You will see that first I need to log in. And by the way, this is the logic that I implemented in the React Native Firebase video that I did. under profiles here, if I click on dark, you will see that one of these actually changed the icon. If I go back and let's do light again here, you'll see that this one changes. So I'm not sure what's happening here. This is something probably might have something to do with this Android manifest setup that we have over here. There were some comments about having all these activity alias enabled false for all of them. I tried that didn't work. There's also a step in the documentation where they say you'll have to remove the launcher intent from the main activity, and that's referring to this main activity over here, this one. I tried removing it and it was not even running the expo run Android command, so it was throwing an error. And so there might be some problems with the most recent React Native 74 version with this library, but anyways, the whole point of this video is kind of to show you how you can use Expo Prebuild and make changes in the iOS and Android folders as needed for your project. So hopefully you learned something, and again, I keep an eye out. I'll try to see if I can find a solution for this, and I'll definitely update the code if I find something on the GitHub repo that you will also find in the description box below the video. Alright, hopefully you enjoyed the video, you learned something new, and please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn the notification bell on as well. I will be posting videos regularly, so I'll see you guys soon.